What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Inside the Forest. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr. Hello, Hannah.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. Ignore the big box in the background.
Right. Yeah. You're blocking most of it, so
Okay,
it's
man, if I just there we go.
yeah.
There we go.
All right. Yeah, it's the holidays, right?
Yeah.
Presents galore coming through the doors. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, especially our patrons. Thank you very much for supporting the show. We got a couple comments from you guys to read over from Hannah's reaction to this next episode of Skeleton Crew, which we're going to talk about, episode 3. And a little bit of news, not much. As the holidays approach, everybody's kind of just diving into the Skeleton Crew, which continues to gain a lot of good comments and support from, it feels like, all of the Star Wars community. I keep seeing some people talk about, like, finally something we all love or something like that, and it's doing well. So we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Mm-hmm.
But first up, a couple of things from Mando and Grogu, as we talked about last time, which was that, wrapped up. And there's a little bit of news coming out from that. One, which I thought was interesting, is do you know who Jeremy Allen White is? Hannah?
That name sounds familiar.
So he's the lead actor of that show called The Bear. That's out there. Yeah.
Yes, love that guy.
So the report is that he has joined the cast and will voice Rada the Hutt, which is Jabba's son. And if you remember, Jabba's son was in the very first Clone Wars film that led into the series. The whole storyline there was that Rada was kidnapped by the Separatists to hold ransom so that Jabba would join the Separatist movement. And of course, the Jedi went and saved Rada. So apparently Jeremy is voicing Rada the Hutt.
Oh.
So we will see a live action version of Jabba's son.
All the implication that so we're gonna go to Tatooine with this movie?
I guess, unless he's, I mean, the Hutts travel, so I mean,
That's true.
Maybe he's somewhere else. I don't know, but yeah, we probably would go to Tatooine. I mean, yeah, more than likely, Filoni, has probably written Tatooine into the storyline somehow.
Probably, but that's so interesting.
Well, I guess you got to remember this is post Return of the Jedi, right? So Jabba's dead, so Rada's probably running stuff on Tatooine now.
Yeah, probably. But would he be incredibly young at this point? Or is he a little, like, is he, in human years, is he early 20s?
Human years, this is about 30 years. So he'd be about 30 or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Be a young, strapping young man,
I don't yuck someone's yum, but I don't know if you would call whatever the Hutts are strapping and young.
Well, you never know what Rada's going to look like.
As I said, I don't yuck someone's yum, but
Yes. So I thought that was interesting.
That's cool. That's like, because he is a very talented actor. If you have not seen The Bear, highly recommend you watch it.
I was about to say I feel like it's a pretty big get. To voice Rada the Hutt.
I mean, also just culinary wise, it's very true to how a kitchen would run for the most part. Like, obviously there are some parts you have to dramatize, but based on, because when I first watched The Bear, I'm like, is that really how a kitchen goes? And then I dived into YouTube where professional chefs were reviewing different things, and they were like, no, this is pretty accurate. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
But the script writing is so good. The story behind it's so good. He's such a great actor. So it would be interesting to see what he brings to the Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, an old friend of mine, her son is in the Bear for a couple of episodes.
Oh,
So, but yeah, like I'm picturing his voice. I don't. It'd be interesting. That's all I'm going to say.
yeah,
It'd
definitely
be
be
interesting
interesting.
if they have him speak purely Huttese or if he's going to speak English. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's definitely going to be Huttese. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
That'll be very cool then.
yeah.
It'll
I
be
don't.
very
I'm
interesting.
not sure. I'm not sure Hutts care about speaking basic.
Wasn't there one Hut that spoke basic
Yeah, it
though?
was Zero the Hutt.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jabba's cousin. But that was kind of weird.
Oh, it was very weird,
Yeah,
but frankly, it was a
and he was
welcomed
like
weirdness.
purple. And, yeah, he was weird anyway.
But it was a welcomed weirdness because
Yeah,
finally you're like, oh, thank God, I can actually understand what they're saying.
true. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Okay, so the other piece of news from Mandalorian and Grogu as well is the reports are out there. Deadline is reporting that Johnny Cone, which I don't know who that is, but anyway, he appeared in The Mandalorian season 3 as one of the Imperial warlords in the Shadow Council
Oh,
that Moff Gideon, was talking to about Thrawn, and apparently he will be making an appearance in the film as well. So,
okay.
so it seems like this Shadow Council is still going to be alive and well and out there. So, as we know from that episode, they are talking about the return of Grand Admiral Thrawn. So, the question kind of is well, has Thrawn made it back at this point, right? Because he came back at the end of Ahsoka. So it's really a question of when this timeline is. Is this before that or is this after that? Sounds like it might be after that because if the Shadow Council's there, that means Thrawn is maybe back and addressing. So it's possible we will get Thrawn in this movie.
Anything's possible at this point. I mean, I think at this point, none of us really know exactly where this is going. Like we do, but we don't, if that makes
Well,
sense.
yeah, they're probably going to keep this a mystery for a long time.
Which I don't think any of us are mad at.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I think you're going to try to keep this under wraps for a while, as much as they can, because they haven't said anything about this thing.
Is that the real name of the movie, though? Mando and Grogu, or is that what they're just kind of nicknaming it?
No, The Mandalorian and Grogu is what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what they're doing, right? They're doing everything they're titling these days is the name of the characters, Andor, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Mandalorian, and Grogu.
Yeah. And then you have Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew, but that's the name of them together, right? So it's all about the name of the people is really what they're kind of going for. So speaking of Skeleton Crew, let's see. We had a couple comments from our last episode, which we talked about the first couple episodes. Thrawn was saying that I think they are aware of Sith because doesn't Wim play with Jedi and Sith action figures in one scene? I don't know if he knew they were Sith, but probably possible. I think it's possible that he knew that. He also goes on to say, really enjoyed the first 2 episodes. Goonies on an adventure and Lost in Space with the mystery added of the Aten planet, so I'm definitely all in. All the kid actors are great and very funny. Love SM33 droid, and was great to see all the different kind of species at the spaceport. Felt very fresh but familiar in the world of Star Wars. I actually didn't mind the Aten planet being like a futuristic Earth, reminding me of San Francisco in the future J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movie. Also, this kind of being a myth planet that no one has ever been to makes it one of a kind, so they can all get away with it being more Earth-like and not like Star Wars planets. A lot of fun, exciting. Excited to where it will go next. Glad you both enjoyed it and look forward to upcoming episode discussions. May the force be with you. All right, so there you go. So episode 3, Hannah, called, these titles are long. It's called Very Interesting as an Astrogation Problem. And I had to look up the word astrogation. It's like navigating space, basically, right?
Yeah.
So, episode 3, Hannah, how did this go for you?
It's still so much fun. I just feel like for me, they called out a lot of things in this episode. For example, you're not really a Jedi, are you? Or, oh, we could have done X, Y, and Z. Or like all of these different elements that we thought, oh, this is just going to kind of be a throughout the show type of thing. No, the cards are immediately revealed in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, well, where is there going to be another twist coming up? But I like it too, because and I think that's why this episode's so good, is because it's the storyteller saying, we know the audience isn't stupid. They're calling everything out right away. Also, I love the fact that the person who knows the stars and knows how to track a planet is an owl hybrid.
Right.
I loved that. I also love that Kim is spelled with like 8 letters.
Right. Yeah.
All in all, it's just still a fun adventure. It does show Silvo, even though he's very selfish. Sorry. Yeah. Captain
John.
Silvo. Yeah. It shows him still caring about the kids, even though he's still selfish in the process. But it also shows his desperation.
Yeah.
I also think we're already seeing this chemistry between the kids and him. I don't know. My thoughts are kind of scattered, but it's just still a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun. I now want to know, when he was using the Force, were those tricks, or is he actually genuinely a Force wielder?
Yeah.
I think that's like the next question we want to know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I also think it's very interesting, and this is going to set off another storyline where the parents of these kids, the security bot comes back and they're like, they're beyond the barrier. Nothing we can do. And they're all like, what do you mean there's nothing we can do? We can contact the Republic. And I also think it solidifies that I forget the name of her character, but that one mother who is high up,
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't know anything. Because I think at the beginning, all of us were like, oh, she probably knows something and she's keeping up pretenses, but she doesn't know anything either. All of them are like, why can't we go beyond the barrier? So I think that's going to be a whole nother storyline that we're going to get, is these parents trying to get their kids back, realizing they're on their own.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
What did you think?
Well, Pharaoh's the one you're talking about.
Pharaoh, thank you.
And yeah, side thing with her, yeah, I totally felt like before, the first couple episodes when she showed up, I totally felt like she was, going off planet all the time and coming back, going on, she almost looked like I guess basically a Republic, a Republic representative or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. Apparently no one leaves this thing. So, and, which we'll get into, we discovered a lot about what, about Ad-Aden, and I say a lot, but we still don't know much. But we did get further from Kim about what this planet is. I think it was, it's expected. This is a little more information hunting here, right? The kids are trying to find a way home. He's Jod is actually helping them. So this is kind of that next step in the story where we get a little more clues here and there of how we get there. Now, again, I got to go back to what we talked about when we were, it's laying out our expectations for this thing. And I kept saying that it's got to be a hook, not just them. And I always wondered, well, how do you get lost in the Star Wars galaxy? I mean, everything's mapped. Well, that's how you get lost when there is no map to your planet. So it makes total sense, and it's going to make it very difficult for them to find their way back. So I thought it was really good. I think the mystery around Jod is that I do think I don't think he's faking it. I think he is a Force user, and I think the fact that he says, you can already kind of understand that he doesn't always tell the truth, right? His name is not Captain Silvo. She named him Captain Jack.
Yeah.
And then he's saying his name is Jod. It's like, okay, which is it? So the fact that he says he's not a Jedi, I mean, there's truth to that too, because he probably didn't finish training. I mean, technically, Ahsoka is not a Jedi.
Yeah, technically.
She left the Order. So, all Force users necessarily don't have to be Jedi, although I still will argue that, and this is a show that's supervised by Filoni, so I would think that he wouldn't let this happen either. Like, you can't just start using the Force. Like, you have to be trained, right? So he I would venture to guess that he probably started training, didn't get very far, and, got left the Order, or Order 66 happened, and he wasn't around. He's just survived, so... That's my guess.
In Rise of the Red Blade, which now you know.
Correct.
There are people who just leave the Jedi Order because it's no longer a fit for them.
Yes, totally. And
so that's not beyond the realm of possibility.
And, in the Empire, as they did in that book as well, the Empire and the Inquisitors were tasked with hunting down Force users. Unless you just hid yourself and weren't using the Force, which is pretty much what these guys did, like Cal Kestis.
Yeah.
Kaden Jarrus, maybe Jod. Because if you think about Jod, I know Jude Law is probably older, but he looks a little younger. So he's probably playing the age of a person that was a kid around the time of Order 66. So that's where I'm putting my money. I don't think he's a full-blown Jedi Knight.
Mm-mm.
He was probably a small Padawan, or even a youngling. And he got some training, so he can just move some stuff, but I don't think he can do anything really beyond that.
And that's a good point, because we see in this episode, instead of using the Force to disconnect the wire from the ship, he pulls a space maneuver.
Right.
So that could be it. He, as a Padawan, was like, well, I'm on my own. Yeah. This is how I'm going to, wow people.
Yeah, yeah.
And he probably read some tales about pirates.
Right.
And he's like, that's a perfect route for me.
Yeah, like flipping switches with the Force, opening doors, moving keys, like that's child's play, right, in a sense. But, if you give him a lightsaber, he probably is not going to be that skilled, in my opinion.
But that doesn't mean you can't use a lightsaber. Sorry, that's in the extended universe. Jason Solo, when he's going through a lot of difficult times, he decides to try to disconnect himself from the Force, and he tries wielding a lightsaber. And while he's really good at it, he finds it incredibly difficult because
that's right.
He is not connected to the Force.
That's right, because the Kyber crystal, is connected. You're connected to your crystal, and it performs the will of the Force with you, and it's difficult to use a lightsaber, especially as a Jedi wielding the Force, unless you're pretty attuned. So that's why it takes so long for Padawans to get their lightsabers.
I wonder though if all of this is the reason why this show is speaking to both kids and adults. Because kids get the fun adventure, and while adults get that too, it's then all of these extra questions that are piling up within the lore.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the fact that these kids didn't even know a war happened.
Exactly.
That was mind-blowing. That's like, whoa, you didn't even know the Clone Wars happened. You didn't even know that there was a war with the Empire.
Yes.
That's insane.
Well, and not only is it crazy to think that they did, because they weren't even really alive.
No, they weren't, but the fact that it's not even in history books for them.
Well, that's true. But, so either way, they were babies. The big question for me is, do the parents know there was a war or not?
I'm assuming no, because I feel like they would have told stories. And the fact that, and this is the thing too, if they're reading these stories about Jedi and these legends of Jedi, and the war is not even mentioned in those legends, that tells me the parents don't even know. That tells me these legends are from the Old Republic, potentially even the New or the High Republic.
Yeah. No, I was about to go there. I think you're right. I think there's, and this episode there was a lot more too. There's a lot of mention of Old Republic.
Yes, there is.
And they're not talking about the time before the Empire. They're talking about 1,000 years ago, Old Republic.
They're talking about my favorite part of the Star Wars galaxy.
Yes. So I think you're right. I think the stuff that Wim is experiencing on his tablet, like those are Old Republic stories. Like past High Republic, like talking Old Republic.
Which would make sense why they knew Sith existed, because there were
exactly.
tons of Sith, and there were Sith academies at that time. So that makes perfect sense why they would play like that.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah, I thought the part when Kim, when she obviously hears about At-Aten, and she says, your world, your home has been purposely hidden from the rest of the galaxy. Purposely. She doesn't say it, but that's the thing, is like, for how long? Which had to have been, she says this scroll depicts the jewels of the Old Republic. Mm-hmm. Now, again, the problem right now is, she said, planets of wonder kept hidden for their protection. And she says, long ago, they were all destroyed except for one. Now, crazy to think how they were destroyed back then when there's no Death Star.
Well, yeah. How were they destroyed, and why were they protected?
Why? Well, yeah, exactly. Now only remembered in children's stories. So here's the thing, though. As of right now, and I know this is not a huge deal, but it is to me because I love timelines. We don't particularly know yet what is canon as far as when the Old Republic was, right?
Right.
Because if you go to the video games, which aren't canon, Knights of the Old Republic and things like that, you're talking, I think those take place like almost like 7,000 to 8,000 years before Episode 1.
Something like that.
And then you had just the Old Republic game. There was one called just the Old Republic, which takes place maybe 2,000 years later from that. So you're still about 5,000 years away from Episode 1. And the only reference we really have of the past right now, in a way, that far back really, is, Mace Windu and them talking about the last time the Sith was known, which was 1,000 years before Episode 1, which was the time of Darth Bane, right? So I would think that 1,000 years, that's maybe considered Old Republic, or I don't know. It could be meaning, again, we don't know yet the timeline of the Old Republic in canon. I'm guessing, I will assume, they're going to kind of keep it the same as the game. So we're probably talking 5, 6, 7,000 years ago, the time period that they're talking about, which means that's how long these planets have at least stayed hidden. Now, we don't know when those planets were destroyed yet, really, how long At-Aten's been kind of by itself. But it seems like the theory is right now is that all these planets had this kind of nebula type force field barrier to keep them protected. And I guess the mystery too now, of course, is still, what are they protecting? What kind of treasure are we talking about? Right. So.
Right. But look, this is what excites me more about this episode. And I was kind of waiting until we got to this point. if this means it's helping open the door for Old Republic material, I'm 1,000,000% for it.
Yeah, I know you are. Yeah.
But but that's what this is doing. This is opening that door to that timeline, to that realm. I mean, this is the perfect little crack in the window saying, "Hey, take a look at this.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Look
yeah.
at what was happening."
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think it's, I think in similar ways, this is, what the High Republic was trying to do with the books, kind of introduce a different era and see how people reacted. And of course, then they made the Acolyte during that same time. And of course, that didn't probably pan out the way they liked. But this is a way to do that. You're right. It's a way to, introduce the timeline, introduce circumstances that were present at the time. Because honestly, I mean, they're not going to do, I don't think they'll do this, but just think about it. I mean, this would probably be best to do, right? Is this Knights of the Old Republic game that's getting remade, right? So they kind of took it off the shelf because sounds like they were kind of modifying your, I mean, is that the opportunity to put this game back on the shelf, back in the production with the idea of exploring these planets?
I hope
that's
so.
That's how you kind of tie it in, right? I mean,
It is, but at the same time, don't change the heart of the story. The story is so good.
Oh, with Revan, you mean?
Yeah, don't do that. Don't change that. But I mean, the fact that we could even potentially have that, or maybe even the game explores more as to why these planets were so important.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, watch, like, at the core, they're Jedi temples, or they're at the core, they host a huge library of Jedi archives or something. I don't know.
And that's the thing too. She said Old Republic, but again, how far back does the Old Republic go? Could this actually tie a little bit into, like you just said, the Jedi, the beginning, the origins of the Jedi? Is this maybe
Dawn of the Jedi.
the Dawn of the Jedi stuff, right? I mean, they were talking 25,000 years there.
That's
so
actually a really good question. At any point during any of the High Republic or even some of the newer comics, do they ever reference the High Republic as its own bit in the timeline? Or is that just something that we as viewers are privy to?
what do you mean acknowledge its own?
Well, like, for example, you know how we refer to a specific time, like, us as humans on planet Earth, we refer to the Great Depression as a specific time.
Oh, right.
Is there at any point?
They do reference the High Republic as the High Republic.
Right. So if she's referencing the Old Republic, it has to be the Old Republic.
I totally agree. Yeah, no, totally agree. We just don't know what point of the timeline is she referring to, the Old Republic.
Oh, you mean like numerals? Like,
yeah. Is she talking about 5,000 years? She's talking about 25,000 years. Like, how long did we don't know yet in canon how long the Old Republic has actually been, how long did the Old Republic, because, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Knights of the Old Republic storylines, like, the Sith took over. Like, the Sith Empire ruled.
Oh, totally. Like, there was a
it was kind of like going back and forth.
Yep.
Like the
Until
Sith Empire
Darth Vader was like, screw all of this, and did his thing.
So is there a time before the Sith took over? Is that considered a different time? Like, not Republic or Ancient Republic? I don't know, something like that.
Huh.
So that's why the Republic now, when someone says the Republic, you kind of think of the time right before the Empire, right?
Right.
Because that wasn't the Old Republic. That was just the Republic. But then you have the New Republic, which is what they're into right now.
Right.
So Old Republic, yes, is before the High Republic, but where and when. And High Republic, we're only considering, I feel like we're only considering that be like a couple hundred years. It's not like thousands of years, so
no, it's only hundreds.
so I'll be interested. I'm real interested in that kind of history of how far back we're going to go at some point. Dawn of the Jedi, obviously we're going way far back.
That is going to be interesting.
Very interesting. Like what's the state of the government? 25,000 years?
Even just how does somebody, like, is it somebody who is already a master at the Force and then the Jedi are formed, or is it somebody who discovers the Force?
I think it's somebody who discovers the Force.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. It's that symbol. There's that symbol that it's kind of like a yin and yang, like a Jedi sitting there. It's like black and white. And it's on like when Luke's in the cave at Octu, it's there. It's like, I think that is referring to the first Jedi, like the first person that discovered the Force. I think that's who we're going to be seeing in Dawn.
Do you think it's going to be twins, and they both discover the Force at the same time?
That's
and
probably
one goes Sith, one Jedi.
One goes light, one goes dark.
Yeah,
could be the birth of the dark side and the light side.
I mean, it makes sense.
Totally makes sense.
Or best friends. Doesn't even have to be twins or siblings. Or I think it has to be two people who are close.
Probably the first dyad, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. So technically, this is the most interesting part of the episode for me. Obviously, this whole dive into where this planet is living and why is it been isolated? What is it protecting? Kim obviously knows of it and knows a lot about the other planets. So it's really a good hook for me and what makes me want to keep watching the show.
I feel like that's what it is for most adults. And then for kids, it's, this is a fun adventure. Like, once again, you found the perfect balance between the two.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So that was really the episode. I mean, they went to Kim and to get this information, try to find their way back. They have a little run-in with some X-Wings.
They confront Jod about who he really is.
Yeah, yeah. Which he says he's not a Jedi. But he's probably true. He's probably telling the truth there, but doesn't mean he's not a Force user.
I was telling the truth. It just depends on your point of view.
That's right. That's right. So I'm with you overall. I'm still really enjoying the episode. I'm really, they're doing just enough lore to, like you said, keep us adults kind of interested in this thing. They're doing enough with the kids to keep the kids interested. Again, my daughter's really enjoying this thing.
Good.
So it is. I think it is doing a good job with that. And yeah, I mean, 3 episodes in, only 5 more to go.
Oh boy,
it's gonna get interesting to see, because obviously the pirates are gonna get back involved here as they chase them down. Yeah, but the fact that they have no ties to the New Republic or anything like that is pretty fascinating.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah,
that makes me go, are they a complete and utter secret from both the Empire and the current Republic? Are they just kind of in their own bubble?
Mm-hmm.
Surely somebody knows about them.
You would think. I mean, it seems like everybody's heard of this place, but no one believes it's real.
It's mind-boggling. How is a planet by themselves for so long?
Yes. They're getting everything on the planet as resources?
Exactly. They don't need any trade. They need zippity-doo-dah.
Right. Which, again, technically, that's what we do on Earth, right? But but in the Star Wars galaxy, and it seems like, they have the same technology.
Yeah.
It's like they're not advancing their technology any different. It's wild. It's wild to think of putting the story together and trying to think of all the things that you've got to stay, realistic in this world. That they can't be too far under advanced. They can't be too far advanced.
But the fact that they're like on par is absolutely mind-boggling because, sorry if you haven't seen this movie, spoilers, but like for something like The Village.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
The fact that they were so far behind the times and then they realized, wait, it's modern day America. We're not in this one. The fact that their technology is so on par, it's like somebody somehow must be feeding them information to keep them up to date and to keep them thriving. Right?
You would think so. You definitely would think so, but
is this just the perfect example of people living in isolation and thriving just like anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be one of the secrets. There could be something there that's helping them being able to thrive. I don't know what that is. If it's a natural resource, if it's something valuable that maybe somebody is selling off world to keep them funded. But no one else knows about it. It's I don't know. It's could be something like that. It's going to be definitely hard for me to imagine that no one leaves the planet at all.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be hard to, like someone's got a secret starship somewhere and they fly off and do something. But it is interesting about the planets. And I do hope that story comes out one day to really discover what happened to these planets and what they were protecting. And that would be a pretty neat story.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that ever comes. All right. Anything else on that one?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So on your reaction to the episode on Patreon here, Draconis Rex said, I've been captivated by this show for the last 3 episodes. Looking forward to next week's episode. By the way, anyone notice the cannon turret at Port Borgo looks like a Dalek?
Dalek.
D-A-L-E-K, Dalek. Are you a Doctor Who person?
I am. I am a fan of Doctor Who, and must exterminate.
There you go.
Falls into place. Now that you mention it, it does look like it. I think that's an homage to it, though. I don't think it means that Star Wars is in the Whovian universe.
No. Yeah, I don't think so either. But the top of it, I don't watch Doctor Who, so I had to look it up. But yeah, the top of the turret does look like a little bit like that. Yes.
Oh, it absolutely does.
Yeah.
Good eye. I did not catch that.
Theron on here says, I agree with your thoughts, Hannah. Continuing to be impressed with this show and everyone in it. Looking forward to yours and Dave's spoiler discussion. So there you go. Yeah. Episode 3 in the books, I think. Yeah, I think hopefully we get more Kim. I don't know. Maybe they're leaving. I don't know if we're going to get Kim anymore. But
I liked her.
I think I believe she's on the poster. Like, so she seems like she's going to be probably a prominent character.
Well, she did tell the kids, if you need anything, reach out.
That's true. Yeah.
So it could be they run into trouble and they reach out to her.
Yeah. All right. There you go, everybody. Episode 3 in the bag. Episode 4 coming next Tuesday night. I will say I will definitely do a reaction to it. Hopefully Hannah will too, and I'll post those. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do a show next week because we're both going to be out on vacation for the holidays. So you'll get some reactions from us for those episodes. Probably the next 2 episodes. When are you back in town? Are you in town?
I'm technically on a staycation.
Oh, okay.
And I'm
so we can do a show after Christmas then.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll be back after episode 5, and we'll talk about episodes 4 and 5. But we'll get some reactions done for those. I'll probably be on the road as well, and just do a little handheld one like you do normally.
That's how I always do them.
I know. Well, I usually do them like this, but I'll be on the road probably.
Well, because normally I'm like sitting on the couch and it ends and I'm like,
Yeah. I know. I gotta dice. I was gonna do a reaction right after, but I had to really think about it, and me and my daughter were talking about it for a while. So
no.
yeah.
I didn't have anyone to talk about it with, so I just was talking to the phone.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, talking to our patrons. Exactly.
Exactly.
So, speaking of, thanks everybody for supporting on our Patreon. If you're interested in joining our Patreon page, patreon.com/Inside the Force. Of course, check out all of our other shows on YouTube. We got some Beyond the Sagas to do, Hannah, because I am done with Rise of the Red Blade.
I'm
finally.
so excited.
Yeah. I think some of our patrons might be appreciative of that, especially Darth S&M. I know he's big on Rise of the Red Blade. So we will get on to doing that. I'm going to move on to another novel. I don't know which one. Which one are you on? Are you doing anyone?
Actually, after this, I was going to ask you what you wanted me to read next.
Well, I think I'm going to get into. I saw it on my list. It's been there for a while. It's that book, The Living Force. That I think it was called The Living Force. It takes place right before episode 1 with the Jedi Council.
All right. Yeah. So let me write that one down.
I think that's what it's called.
Living Force.
It is called.
Well, I'm about to have a lot of time on my hands, so that'll be perfect.
The Living Force, yeah, by John Jackson Miller, or Glass Abyss, the Mace Windu one. Ooh, actually, I might do that one.
You know what? I was just about right before you said that. I was about to ask him, what was the Mace Windu one?
Yeah,
so I think Glass Abyss first, and then Living Force.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then, of course, the one I'm really looking forward to is the one that comes out in February, Reign of the Empire.
Yeah.
So.
Side note, have you, did you finish the second book in the Thrawn Ascendancy?
I am almost done with that, actually.
Okay.
I was starting to listen to that again, try to finish that up. So I am probably going to try to finish that one up first, but yeah. I went back to it. I'm doing that one again. So yeah.
That's my favorite of the 3.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, the third one's great too, but
yeah.
I have to.
I actually haven't. I was more into the first one than I am into this one.
Really?
Yeah, but maybe because it's taking me so long to get through the second one. I think I have a pretty good grasp of what's going on, but yeah, there's a lot of dialogue in the second one. Like,
but it's so good.
Yeah, it's good. Rise of the Red Blade was better, in my opinion.
Rise of the Red Blade was
pretty good. Yeah. All right, everybody. We hope you guys enjoy the holidays. Be safe out there, and we will be back in a couple weeks. So, thank you, Hannah. As always, enjoy your vacation.
Thank you, Dave. As always, enjoy your vacation as well.
Yeah, I'll be hustling around at Disney for a while.
Whoop, whoop.
And then coming back for Christmas. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. All right. Thanks, everybody. Go enjoy Skeleton Crew. We'll see you next time right here on Inside the Force. May the Force be with you.